You think buying that shiny used truck for 20 grand under Blue Book was the deal of a lifetime? That feeling in your gut right now? That's your wallet screaming for help and you don't even know it yet. Let me ask you something real quick before you click away. What's the single biggest money mistake you've ever made on a vehicle? Seriously, pause this for a second and think about it, because I promise you, whatever number just popped into your head is nothing compared to what I'm about to show you. Drop it in the comments, I'll wait. All right, you're still here, which means you either love trucks or you're about to buy one, and either way, you need to hear this. That cheap truck you've got your eye on? The one that seems like a steal? There's a reason it's sitting on that lot, and it's not because the dealer is feeling generous. We're talking about the hidden costs of owning a truck, the stuff no salesman will ever whisper, the things the previous owner conveniently forgot to mention, and the manufacturer's secrets that will turn your dream rig into a driveway ornament made of regret. Let's start with the obvious trap first, because it's the one that gets almost everyone. You see a used diesel for sale, maybe a Ram 2500 or a Ford F250, low miles, leather interior, the whole package. And the price? It's sometimes 10,000 less than every other similar truck within 200 miles. Your brain starts rationalizing. Maybe they need quick cash, maybe it's a repo, maybe you just got lucky. But here's the scary part. 9 times out of 10, that truck is priced like that because the owner knows something you don't. And that something usually has 4 letters, CP4. If you don't know what that is, you're exactly who they're praying walks onto the lot. The CP4 fuel pump, found in countless modern diesel trucks from Ford, GM, and Ram, is a ticking time bomb made of metal shavings and broken dreams. When it fails, not if, when, it sends microscopic shrapnel through your entire fuel system. Injectors, rails, lines, tank, everything gets contaminated. The repair bill? We're not talking a few grand. We're talking $8,000 to $12,000. And the worst part? Most warranties won't cover it because they'll call it a contamination issue or lack of maintenance. And it gets worse. Even if you replace the pump with an aftermarket disaster prevention kit, you're still looking at a $2,000 Band-Aid on a bullet wound. But diesels aren't the only nightmares. Let's talk about the half-ton market, because this is where the true horror story lives. You know those late-model Chevy Silverados and GMC Sierras with the 8-speed automatic transmission? The ones that feel like they're hunting for gears like a lost puppy. That's not just an annoyance, that's a $2,500 torque converter replacement waiting to happen. And here's the industry secret the dealers won't tell you. GM knew about the fluid degradation issue from day one. There's a service bulletin, not a recall, a bulletin. That means they documented the problem, told their techs how to fix it, and never once felt obligated to tell you, the buyer. So you drive off the lot, happy as can be, and 6 months later your transmission starts shuddering at highway speeds like you're driving over rumble strips. You take it in, they flush the fluid with the special new Mobil 1 Blue Label fluid, charge you $400 and send you on your way. And for a while it's fine. But then it comes back, because the real fix is a new torque converter and a full transmission rebuild, and that's a $5,000 conversation you were not planning to have. And the kicker? If you bought that truck used from a non-GM dealer, they'll just look at you with a straight face and say, "First, we've heard of that." Liars. Now let's really twist the knife, because I haven't even mentioned the quietest killer of them all, electronics. Modern trucks have more computers than a space shuttle, and every single one of them is waiting to fail at the worst possible moment. Take the Ford F-150 from roughly 2015 to 2020. Beautiful trucks, powerful engines, and an infotainment system that will randomly decide your climate control doesn't need to work in July. But that's just annoying. The real problem is the body control module, or BCM. That little black box controls your lights, your windows, your door locks, your wipers, and your starting sequence. When it gets a voltage spike, and it will, because Ford used a laughably undersized fuse, the whole truck becomes a brick. No start, no click, no nothing. Just a dashboard lit up like a Christmas tree and a tow truck bill. A new BCM from the dealer? $1,200. Programming? Another $400. And you can't just swap it with a junkyard part because it's VIN locked. That means only the dealer can do it. They have you by the throat and they know it. But here's where it gets really evil. Some of these modules fail because of a design flaw in the windshield cowl. Water leaks through a cheap foam seal, drips directly onto the BCM, and corrodes the pins. It's a $5 piece of foam that causes a $2,000 repair. And Ford has never issued a recall. They just sell you the part and wave goodbye. You might be thinking, okay, I'll just buy an older truck. Something simple, something mechanical. And I love that idea, I really do. But the used market for older trucks is a minefield of deferred maintenance and creative hiding. Let's say you find a clean 3rd-gen Ram 1500 with the 5.7 Hemi. Great engine, right? Famous engine. Except the camshaft and lifters in those things are made of what appears to be compressed cheese. The problem is the MDS system, multi-displacement system, that shuts down 4 cylinders to save gas. Sounds smart. But the lifters for those deactivated cylinders don't get enough oil at idle. They collapse, they spin, and then they eat the camshaft lobe. The fix is a full top-end rebuild. Cam, lifters, push rods, oil pump, and while you're in there, a timing set. That's $3,000 in parts alone if you do it yourself, or $8,000 at a shop. And the previous owner? They knew. They heard that faint ticking at startup, the one that sounds like a sewing machine, and they dumped the truck before it got loud. You bought their problem and now you get to pay for it. And don't even get me started on rust. I know. You live in the South. You don't have to worry about it. Wrong. Trucks get shipped all over the country. That clean California truck might have spent its first 3 years in Ohio. You can't always tell from a glance. But here's a trick they don't want you to know. Look at the bed bolts. If they're rusted, walk away. Those are hidden inside the bed, protected from road spray, so if they're corroded, the frame is 10 times worse. Also, crawl underneath and poke the cross members with a screwdriver. Not hard, just a little tap. Solid metal rings. Rotten metal crunches. If you hear that crunch, that's the sound of your resale value turning to dust. Frame repair on a body-on-frame truck can cost more than the truck is worth. And once rust starts between the bed and the cab, it's like cancer. You can cut it out, weld in new metal, repaint, and 6 months later it's back. Because the rust is inside the seams, between the layers of metal, where you can never fully clean it. But wait, we haven't even touched the biggest hidden cost of all. The thing nobody, and I mean nobody, talks about when they say just buy a truck. Insurance. And not just regular insurance. Trucks get stolen at a ridiculous rate, especially certain models. The Ford Super Duty, for example, is one of the most stolen vehicles in America because the door lock cylinders can be popped with a screwdriver in 4 seconds. And thieves know that. So your insurance company knows that. That means your comprehensive premium is going to be higher, sometimes hundreds more per year, just because of the truck you chose. But that's not the real killer. The real killer is that if you actually use your truck as a truck, if you haul equipment, if you tow a camper, if you have a toolbox in the bed, and you get into an accident, your standard personal auto policy might deny your claim. They'll say you were using the truck commercially, even if you weren't, even if it was just your personal tools for a personal project. Insurance companies love to find loopholes, and business use exclusion is their favorite. You need a commercial policy or at least an endorsement, and that can double your premium overnight. So that practical truck you bought to save money on delivery fees or hauling mulch, it just cost you an extra $1,200 a year to insure. And nobody warned you. Let's pivot to maintenance, because this is where the bleeding never stops. Tires. You knew tires would be expensive, but did you know that many modern trucks require special load range E-tires that cost $300 each? And they wear out faster than car tires because of the weight and the aggressive alignments manufacturers use to make the truck feel stable at highway speeds. That's $1,200 every 30 to 40,000 miles. But the real crime is brakes. A brake job on a half-ton truck is maybe $400 for pads and rotors. On a 3/4 ton, double that. On a 1 ton, now you're into heavy-duty components that cost $600 an axle. And because trucks are heavy, they eat brakes faster than cars. You might be doing pads every 25,000 miles if you tow anything. And here's a secret the quick lube places don't want you to know. Many trucks have integrated parking brakes that are inside the rear rotor hat. They rust, they seize, and then they drag. You won't even know it's happening because it feels like a slight lack of power, not a dragging brake. But that dragging brake cooks your rear axle seals, which then leak gear oil onto your brake shoes, which then fails your parking brake entirely. A parking brake replacement on a truck like a Ram 2500? That's a 6-hour job because you have to pull the axles. At $150 an hour, do the math. And you thought you were just buying a truck to throw some mulch in the back. Now I want you to imagine a scenario. You bought a used Nissan Titan XD with the Cummins diesel. You did your research, you know the engine is solid, you got a fair price. 6 months later, you're driving down the highway and the check engine light comes on. You scan it and it's a P20EE code, SCR efficiency. That's the emissions system. You take it to the dealer, and they say the DEF injector is clogged, the NOx sensors are reading wrong, and the DPF is loading up. The fix? They want to replace the entire after-treatment system. $9,000. But wait, you say, isn't that covered under the federal emissions warranty? Yes, for 8 years or 80,000 miles. But you have 82,000 miles. You're 2,000 miles over. The warranty is void. And here's the part that will make your blood boil. The problem started at 79,000 miles. You just didn't notice because the light was intermittent. The previous owner knew. They cleared the codes before selling it to you. That's not illegal in most states, by the way. Clearing codes is not the same as tampering. So they got away clean, and you're left holding a bill that's more than the down payment on a house. This happens every single day. And the only way to protect yourself is to have a diesel shop do a full emission system health check before you buy, including a forced regeneration to see if the DPF is clogged. But nobody does that because it costs $400 and takes half a day. And that's exactly what the sellers are counting on. Before I go any further, I need you to do something for me. If you've made it this far, you're the kind of person who actually wants to avoid these nightmares. So hit that like button right now. Not for me, but for yourself. It tells YouTube to show this video to more people who are about to make expensive mistakes. And while you're at it, smash that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. I put out videos every week that save you real money by exposing the hidden traps in the truck and automotive world. Do not be the guy who watches one video, learns nothing, and then buys a truck with a failing CP4 pump. That guy is broke and angry. Be the guy who knows better. Subscribe now, I'll wait. All right, let's finish breaking your heart, because we're not done yet. The single most expensive hidden cost of owning a truck is something you can't see, can't touch, and won't notice until you try to sell the damn thing. Depreciation on heavy-duty trucks with the wrong options. You think a loaded Platinum F350 holds its value. It does, until you try to sell it to a farmer or a contractor. Those buyers don't want the sunroof, the massaging seats, or the 22-inch wheels. They want vinyl floors, rubber mats, and the snowplow prep package. Your luxury truck is worth thousands less on the used market because the people who actually need a 1-ton truck see all that fancy stuff as a liability. And the manufacturers know this. That's why they push the high-trim trucks so hard. The margins are enormous. But when you go to trade it in, the dealer will offer you wholesale for the base model and say, options don't add value. Except they do add value, negative value. You paid 10 grand extra for leather and a sunroof, and you'll be lucky to get 2 grand of that back. Meanwhile, the guy who bought the stripped-down work truck with the same engine and transmission, his truck will sell in 3 days. Yours will sit on the lot for 6 months before some poor soul lowballs the dealer and drives it home, never knowing the financial beating you took. And what about the little things? The death by 1,000 cuts. Have you priced a windshield for a truck with lane-keeping cameras and rain-sensing wipers? That's not a $200 glass replacement anymore. That's a $1,200 calibration nightmare because the camera has to be aimed perfectly. If it's off by a fraction of a degree, your automatic emergency braking might fire for no reason, or worse, not fire when you need it. So you have to go to the dealer or a specialty glass shop with the right equipment. And your insurance might cover the glass, but they won't cover the calibration. That's $300 out of your pocket every time a rock hits your windshield. And if you live somewhere with gravel trucks or construction zones, that's every 18 months. Or how about the cost of a key? A modern proximity key for a Ram or Ford can run $500 to replace and program. Lose both keys? Now you're into a $1,000 cluster because the dealer has to pull the security module and reset the whole system. These are not oh well expenses. These are, I could have bought a decent lawnmower for that, expenses. Let me leave you with one final story because I want this to stick. A buddy of mine bought a used Toyota Tundra. Great reputation, bulletproof reliability, the whole thing. He found a 2018 with the 5.7 V8, one owner, clean Carfax, 120,000 miles. Price was fair. He drove it for 2 years, loved it, put another 30,000 miles on it. Then one day, he's towing a small camper, and the transmission starts slipping. Long story short, the previous owner had installed a leveling kit and bigger tires, which put extra strain on the transmission. But they had also tuned the ECU to firm up the shifts, which felt sporty, but actually overheated the fluid. By the time my buddy got the truck, the transmission was already damaged. It just took 2 years to die. The repair was $7,500. And here's the sick part. When he pulled the service records, he found out the previous owner had the transmission fluid changed at 90,000 miles, right before selling it. The fresh fluid hid the smell of burnt clutch material. That's not illegal either. It's just dirty. And there's no law against being dirty. So the lesson is this. If you buy a used truck, especially one that's been modified in any way, you are not buying a vehicle. You are buying someone else's exit strategy. They are getting out before the big bill comes due. And if you don't do your homework, you become the one holding the bag when it finally explodes. So here's the bottom line, and I want you to remember this every time you see a truck that seems too good to be true. The hidden costs aren't hidden because they're rare. They're hidden because the industry has built a machine that profits from your ignorance. The dealers, the private sellers, even the manufacturers, they all benefit when you focus on the monthly payment instead of the 5-year cost of ownership. The only person looking out for you is you. And now, because you watched this video, you have a map of the minefield. Use it. Before you buy any truck, get a pre-purchase inspection from an independent shop that specializes in that brand. Run the VIN through a dealer service database, not just Carfax. Check the bed bolts, poke the frame, scan for codes before and after a test drive. And for the love of everything financial, budget for the worst. Assume the transmission will fail. Assume the CP4 will pop. Assume the BCM will fry. If you can afford the truck with those repairs in the bank, then buy it. If not, walk away. There's always another truck, but your wallet doesn't get a second chance. Now go out there and be smarter than the guy who bought that ticking time bomb. And hey, before you go, tell me in the comments, what's the most expensive repair you've ever had on a truck? Let's shame these manufacturers together. I'll be reading every single one. And in the next video, we're talking about the 3 trucks that will bankrupt you within the first year of ownership. You do not want to miss that one. So subscribe, hit the bell, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, keep your oil clean and your wallet fatter than your ego. Peace.